3 episodes into Horimiya, and I'm still safely saying that this is one of the best rom-coms I've seen, and I've seen a lot of rom-coms. My favorite anime genre, but seriously, the romance and how the character chemistry is being explored is some of the best I've seen in this genre. You can just look at 2 best friends in this show. We have obviously Miyamura, who used to be a very loner-style character, now is thrown into a group of friends that he's doubting, is this even real, and can I enjoy this? And after realizing that he can, he just wishes he could go back and tell his younger self some advice that would have changed his life, which is pretty much everyone growing up. Even if you weren't the most socially awkward person, there's always something you wish you could have changed and told yourself years back, and it would have changed everything. And then you have someone like Toru, who is this guy who you would assume, if you've seen any rom-com ever, or any romance or any drama before, he would be the character who would want to try to push someone like Miyamura away from Hori because he's more deserving of her or something like that. He's stronger, he's better looking, he's better personality. That's kind of what happens. But then quickly, the show removes that aspect and says, no, he took his defeat, he's upset with his defeat, but he recognizes I hope someday it'll change, but I'm not going to be mad at, someone like Hori for probably liking someone like Miyamura more. I don't get it, but that's her decision. In this episode, they end up having a fight, and what the natural assumption for anyone watching would be is that they had a fight because he listened in and heard Remi and the other girl talking about how Hori wants to keep Miyamura all to herself. And then you enter the next scene and they're bruised up. Clearly what happened is, we took that personally, and I was thinking to myself, okay, this can still work because, he kind of got thrown into his face after someone like Miyamura has been claiming that there is nothing going on. But they went a much more interesting and a much more genuine direction. Based on what we've seen, he shouldn't be the type of guy who would walk up to someone like Miyamura and punch him in the face. He shouldn't do that. Even if Miyamura was actually in a relationship with Hori, he'd be upset, but he shouldn't go to that degree. And the fact that it's actually Miyamura who has the more violent tendency, and the fact that the entire argument happened because of the disagreement of does Hori actually like him or not, that makes it not only funny because they both take the blame, they both know it's stupid, but they refuse to blame the other, but it also makes it a lot more wholesome and genuine with its character interactions. That's one of my favorite aspects about Horimiya right now. As much as I love the Central 2 kind of growing relationship, you get hand-holding, the most lewd of concepts of any anime. How can you top that? But the idea of these 2 friends I really, really appreciate because it's something that I feel like a lot of these shows, when they have their focus on a growing love, they generally give the side cast good personalities, but they usually don't have the same amount of time to flesh out alongside its central pair. But here, they really are giving equal time to the characters surrounding Hori as well as Miyamura. Even just the fact that Miyamura talks to the one friend there and says, we were fighting over Hori, don't say anything. And then she kind of looks smug towards Hori while she's like, hey, what's going on here? It's the little things that kind of show that they do kind of talk with one another and the relationships actually matter in the show. And it's not just a simple, oh, will they, won't they? It's a bunch of high school kids kind of collecting their feelings, understanding what's happening, and kind of struggling with the simple things in life, like the idea that both of these characters like the other, but they're embarrassed to say so, and they don't know if that will ruin their friendship. The most basic but most realistic thing of high school students growing up. It's pretty crystal clear that that's a pretty genuine reason why they're a little unsure of where to go with that. And they know how to spice it up too, so it's never feeling like just a high school drama edge fest. The idea of Remi, I've heard different things. I've heard some people say they really like her character, others say they really are annoyed by her. And based on what happens in this episode, I'm already getting a taste of why that could push some viewers away, or readers in the case of the source material. I have to say I like her personality. I like the idea that you knew she wasn't being serious, but she might also have a little bit of truth to what she was saying about kind of taking Miyamura onto herself. And the idea that, Miyamura was going to be hers. How do you make a person yours if you're not going to date them? Aren't you already in a relationship? Is your relationship bad? I started thinking about a bunch of things. And then by the time you get to the end of the episode, the friend and her are talking, saying you take your jokes too far. There's probably a little ounce of truth to what she was saying, but I think it was more of trying to feel up the situation based on my understanding of it. And I like the type of character she is. She's a little bit of she kind of asserts her dominance in a certain way, but she also cowers down in the case of last week's episode. So I think there's a lot to explore with a character like that. And I like the fact that rather than her just, saying I'm going to take them all to myself and then Hori sits there quietly, she actually stands her ground the same way someone like Miyamura does. this is another thing that really shows how good they are for the other. Someone like Hori generally is a pretty nice, timid girl, but in the face of someone saying, I'm going to take him away, even though she knows he's not a possession, no one can have him, the fact that she stands up and says, no, I'm taking him all to myself, and then she looks into her reflection saying, like, I'm an idiot, how could I even say that? So unlike Miyamura, who does the same thing, he's saying like, oh, she probably doesn't love me, I wouldn't say anything, this will never happen. But then the more it gets pushed on, then he starts snapping and he stands up for himself in a different way. They both know when to stand up for themselves, even if it is kind of lashing out in ridiculous ways with teenage hormones kind of running amok. I like the fact that they both, there's so many different things you can look at these two and say they definitely belong together. And even if they aren't destined to be together forever, at the current moment, they definitely fit together like a perfectly laid puzzle. And I really like that. I mean, the banter, the comedy, and I really like the stuff with his backstory. I mean, you definitely get a sense of self-harm in this episode, which I was actually taken back by. The idea of him piercing his ears. You definitely feel like the reason he did it was a form of self-harm, but also he was trying to just stand out because he never could. The idea of, it's simple stuff, but I mean, I think it works quite well based on what we've seen. The idea of okay, everyone pick a partner, okay, everyone pick a group, and he was always the odd one out, and then eventually he just started doing things to change himself, and it definitely felt to me like a form of self-harm without going too extreme, like he's cutting himself or anything like that, but still, it's definitely very sad to see where he is. And I really like the directing choice that they did where, he's definitely questioning, he's like, I'm in this group, but am I really friends with them? Because he's never really had that. He's questioning, is this even genuine? Do I belong? And, based on his backstory, he was separated. And then you see all the deaths get pushed together. They're working together on a project. And then you start seeing things through his perspective and this kind of beautiful kind of auras kind of shining around, showing that this is a group of friends. And the fact that the thing that used to haunt him, you're weird. It's a simple thing, but a kid growing up hearing that day after day after day, it's going to eat away at you. And the fact that someone who he's questioning, is this my best friend, says you're weird, but that's fine, you're just a little awkward, that's who you are, I accept you, I like you as you are. It really does make something from the past that used to sting, something that you can almost wear as a badge of honor, like I am weird, and my friends like that about me. It's the little things that definitely make this show so good, and I think the character writing is definitely on point. Loving the directing as well. There's always a lot of goofy stuff, and the jokes aren't overly in your face either. They do have these over-exaggerated reactions, but even when they're watching the horror movie, it's not it's oh, jump scare with the comedic value. It's more of he's definitely overreacting and she's just underplaying it. So it makes it all the more funny while putting the focus on the drama and the growing relationships that is definitely the star of the show. Great voice acting, great art and animation, just everything about the show is goddamn good, and I can't be the only one still loving that opening song. It is beautiful beyond words. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. What did you think? And where do you think episode 4 might go with definitely getting closer and closer to a relationship by the looks of it? I mean, if you're already touching hands and that's the lewdest of anime concepts, who knows what's next? Holy shit, you're gonna touch each other's legs? Can't even believe what's gonna happen next. Let me know your feelings down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.